Thank you. Staying with ourselves. The way this is written in chapter 11 is something more like feel what you feel, right? Isn't it something close to that? Feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Maybe write a word like that. And I'm going to stay with the idea of staying with ourselves. And why? Where's the practice difference there? Staying with ourselves invites us then first to make contact with our experience across any of the spheres of experience. And I'll remind everyone what those are. The spheres are the body as the body, the one that never lies. Don't you love that? The one that never lies, the one that can never be deluded, the one that can never be confused, the one that can never be separated. Isn't this lovely? The one that can never be apart from. This is the beauty and the necessity of our human body. We don't use it very well, do we? We actually go up into ideas, concepts, believed thoughts, old patterns, old scripts, words, judgments, bias, prejudice, delusion, and says the teachings in the Tibetan school. Part of what I love about this Mahayana school, which includes the Tibetans, the Zens, and some other, is that they say even this, as crazy as you are, which I love, as crazy as you are, knowing a thought as a thought is an opening to wisdom, right? Isn't it true? Knowing a thought as a thought is the beginning of clear seeing, right? Don't you know it? I yesterday in the middle of the night started spending time going crazy thinking. Louise Hay used to call it stinking thinking. This is not to be derogatory, though, right? Not to be diminishing, not to be devaluing, critical at all. It's to say, let's remember that if I am in a moment of suffering, if I am in a moment of aloneness, separation, fear, greed, if I think I've got to have something in order for this life or myself to be okay, if it's got to go my way, right, that we are one in limited view. Number one, that's the first of the noble paths called right understanding, right? We're not seeing things clearly. We're lost in the storyline. And the part I most love is knowing that a thought is simply a thought is the beginning of the path to freedom. I'm going to ask each of you, could somebody write this in chat for me as practice number 1 today, to come up with what are you going to name that thinking when you see it, hear it, know it, feel it? What are you going to name it that's going to help you remember thinking, just thinking? Not the truth, not clarity, because guess what? That's not where that comes from. Your clarity, your wisdom does not come from thought. We spend a lot of time there, though, don't we? Sorting, figuring, analyzing, factoring, navigate, right? What's true, not true. You know, what's amazing is without the body, you cannot know it. You cannot know the truth without the body, because remember, the body has no capacity to lie, and it resonates truth in a most beautiful, sometimes most amazing, often not pleasant, I will say. I have to tell you the truth, for me, not necessarily pleasant, but necessary way. In my head, not my heart. Exactly. We will never find the path to wisdom or freedom from there. However, the teachings in this chapter and the book say, if we recognize thinking simply as an old defense, as an old protection, as a way to try to get life to get it into my box, my way, get it lined up the way that feels good to me, that itself is a wisdom factor and will be a contribution to our freedom. Can you see what I'm saying about this? Lost in thought, then, is not the same as recognizing thought as thought. Can you see the difference? Lost in thought. You get what I'm saying? Not the same as naming now an object that is not me, not mine, not ours, simply an arising experience called thinking that can be employed when not manipulated, when not constructed, when not repeated, when not just pulled together from the old storylines, can be useful, but must be remembered and recognized always simply as thinking. Can we begin there? What's going to be then your way of catching yourself in constructing realities? That's a big statement, isn't it? Constructing your reality with your thinking. Can anybody write in the box, what words can you think of? I use crazy thinking. Crazy thinking. This is the same thoughts, by the way. I have about the same 5. There's nothing original about these things. I have the same 5 thoughts. My number 1 is you got to always do it by yourself. Now, that's kind of crazy. Look, I'm sitting here in a Sangha. That's why I need you guys. I don't do anything by myself. It's actually a clear delusion, isn't it? And it comes out of an old childhood wound. I got to do everything by myself. It's not even close to true. I couldn't take this breath by myself. Without what? Everything. And I'm not joking when I say it. Everything working in accord for my well-being, for my happiness, and for my ease. It's the truth. But I went into a delusion. I went, it's always got to be me. I got to be the one to fix it, straighten it out, put it away, something, something, something. And it's usually something small like that. Why do I always have to be the one to empty the green bin? What the fuck? Why isn't anybody else getting in on this thing? Right? We laugh. And you have to be actually able to laugh at it, don't you? Because if we can't lighten up about our own propensities, remember these habits of mind that we all have, we will just do harm, won't we? Additional harm to ourselves. Because then I can say, well, thinking, just thinking, and then I can beat myself up about it. Then I can be more critical, more condemning, right? More hateful, more dismissive of my real experience. And we're going to talk today and practice a little bit with what happens when we recognize thinking as thinking, and then rather than go into our habit for damage, criticism, self-loathing, self-flagellation, we drop beneath the thinking that now is simply thinking and feel what we feel. Sounds simple, right? We'll see how we do. We're going to get ready for our silent sitting. Closing my eyes. Yes. So for some people, Dennis, that's very right. Thank you. For some people, just closing the eyes eliminates one of the sense doors, gets us back to ourself instead of out looking for what the answers out there, the solutions. It can connect us more solidly, more simply with the body. So let's prepare to sit in the body. We're going to do our first 15 minutes silent sitting. We're not going to be working on anything except staying in contact with the body for the first 15 minutes. And so you're not even going to be worried about thinking or thoughts. I'll instruct you later. Don't get caught in that. I'm going to stop the recording because we don't need to record this. Making contact with the quietude, the stillness, that all-pervading sense of calm. No matter what the body is doing, that is always available. And then we're going to, with intention, place our attention here in the breathscape, the heart, the lungs, the belly. And with that stable and quiet mind, we're just going to see what we notice there. The movement of the breath, the evidence for our aliveness. Our presence. Just making contact. Body like this. And along with the attention, then we bring an essential quality of heart, a willingness, an openness, receptivity, a curiosity, a trust, and all-pervading friendliness. Whatever we touch, we regard as a part of the path, a part of the Dharma, truth as known through this body. Maybe there is no specific sensation, but a sense of well-being, of ease, that friendly presence. This is mind and body come together. And being joined by our boundless heart. Maybe a moment of wholeness. And then expanding that contact with the body beyond the breathscape to include the extremities, the head, the back, the hips, but really continuing to cultivate that quality of clear seeing, open heartedness, that unconditional friendliness. Expanding that field of loving presence to include the whole body. And seeing how you are. And then feeling how you are. And seeing if we can't continue to soften the body so that we can pick up even the subtlest resonance. We call this sensation beyond sensation. Often, another word is subtle body. It's not so much a sensation as some other resonant energy, vibration, known. And though I'm experiencing, for example, sensations of throbbing in the knee, a little pinch in my left shoulder, a little bit of tightness in the hips, my general sense of the body is I am all right now. And part of that all rightness is coming directly not only from the body, but the fact that I am present, regarding, attentive, and willing to stay with the body. And then, just for a moment of practice, I'd like you to call to mind a distressing thought. Let's make it somewhat mild. I'm going to simply recollect that cluster of thoughts I was having yesterday that activated the body. I'm alone. I've got to do this by myself. When I really need a certain type of support, it's hard to get. What am I doing wrong? What's the other doing wrong? Something's wrong. And just cultivating that thought for a moment. And then we're going to move beyond the thinking, beyond the interpretation, beyond the analysis. See if we can't drop beneath that distressing thought pattern, which is very familiar, by the way, and just drop back into the body. And you can choose to focus on the whole body. I tend to come first most directly into the breath space, and then in particular my heart space as one of my first reads. This does not always mean that that's where that's going to resonate first, so uh, we don't quit there, but just checking in. And seeing if we can't simply breathe with these sensations, these subtle body, the experience that is arising and changing, coming and going here. And I'm noticing a kind of a contraction up in the upper chest and kind of gurgly belly. And there's nothing to do. I don't have to change that or fix it. It's actually not a problem. It's simply information. And I can, from this calm, abiding mind, this unconditional friendliness, I can abide this body experience. And I'm being invited to see what's happening for you into more direct connection to the heart space. That may not be happening for you. Just see where you're being called. And I'm noticing an emotion, a certain kind of sadness there, and a little bit of being weary. Not weary about something, but just weary of these thoughts. And I don't need to name them, though they say that naming or noting can be a little helpful to hold an object as an object of mind. See if that helps you. You can call out the sensation: tight, hot, hard, easeful, released, open, fuzzy, burbly. No. And if you gently note the sensation, then be willing to stay for at least 3 breaths. Noticing how nothing stays solid, fixed, stagnant. While in contact with the body, there may be other corresponding, often paired thoughts that may arise. And remember, we're just noticing them as well, thoughts as thoughts. And then drop down beyond the words, beneath the thought, back into the truth of the present moment as known by this body. ever connected, always joined, never separated from the Dharma, always here. And because I had yesterday and then a little bit today, that old pervading sense of aloneness, loneliness, that constructed separation that we can all do, I'm just going to breathe into the breathscape for a few moments because I know it shows up there for me. That pinch, that slice, that tear, that pain, that fear. And I'm just creating space and room for it. I don't have to make anything happen. Just holding myself in this heart space, breathing into it, offering a sense of stillness and spaciousness that can hold anything. You know, the pinch is there, it's felt sense is being held. Held in this loving presence, both within my own mind, body, and heart, and beyond. All those who have ever felt this lonely, this aloneness, this sensation. Anyone else who maybe has even ever had these thoughts. And then rather than just breathing in, I begin to breathe in as a part of the prayer. This very commitment and intention to stay and to move closer, no matter what, is a essential and unconditional friendliness and compassion. If something is here or nothing is here, I don't even remember what we're doing. It doesn't matter. Can I be with myself simply this moment in the body, exactly as I am? And then can I allow whatever is true here, this moment, to be true? Shaky like this, tender like this, numb, deadened, confused like this. No experience is a problem. Every experience is a part of the path. Be grateful for everything. Just this one breath. Feel what you feel. It is the portal to all happiness, all freedom. And as the practice develops, as it will, in time you will breathe with intention, not only for your own sensation, your own thoughts, or your own emotions. You will breathe for you and those just like you and just like me. You feel this too. And then each breath becomes a prayer for us all. And making contact with the truth of our humanness, our vulnerability, and breathing out relief. And then we become a living, breathing prayer. And then shining the light of that loving presence in all directions, inner, outer, and all around. May we all regard this gifted human body as a mirror to the mind, to the truth, and to our shared humanness. Held by the boundless. We'll take a moment and write one of our first instructions, which is to find a way to note or tag that thinking separating mind. And I offered my suggestion, crazy thinking, which is the goal is more fun than critical. Noting the thinking mind, step one, and find a phrase to help you name it. And release back into the body. Okay. So what did your bodies have to tell you? Then we'll go look at the chapter. How did the practice inform you today? Any thoughts about that? Release my grip. It gives you an opportunity, doesn't it? Once you know you're gripped and can feel the sense of it, we now have more authority, more options, more possibility. We can choose to hang on to that. We can froth it up. We can continue the thinking that most typically has contributed, always a part of the body's experience is perception, that which is seen or known. And then we can make choices about it. We can stay with it. We can choose to release it. We can create space, as we did in this practice, for it, just to see how it changes or stays the same or intensifies. And all of that with the idea of knowing something about our direct experience, knowing something. We're gonna, let me pull the book up. It's right here. And I'll share this so we can look at it together. Let me see it there. No, good. Feel what you feel is Pema's, this chapter's title. And I love the quote to begin. Is death an enemy or a friend? That, my dear, depends on you. This is such a beautiful statement. Of course, it has more to do with life also, doesn't it? Not just death. You could say just as easily, is life an enemy or a friend? We could even say, is this present moment an enemy or a friend? This breath, this experience, this moment, however we have configured it, that, my dear, still depends on you. Yes, it does. And the quality of your own heart mind. And so let's see what Pema has to say about that. She saw a quote. It says, of course, whether old age, illness, or death are our friends or enemies is entirely up to us, of course. And we're not saying that with judgments or criticism like it's your fault. We're saying that so that you can regain or reclaim, again, authority, agency, and power. in the way you live in your life. That's the point of it. Not to say it's your fault. It's not intended at all. Knowing how to work with our emotions, that comes from knowing both mind and body, by the way. Emotions are not the first and best way to make contact, though they are often the most intense. They're often the most identified with and the most claimed as ours, our emotions or feelings. The key to finding balance and equanimity, qualities that support us as we go forward through all the transitions and gaps, all the moments that we are yet to experience, knowing how to work with them. And the knowing that we practice today then is simply residing in the body. We most commonly in the West do not have much contact and do not use the body at all as evidence for the truth that is arising. We push it away, we construct it, we work out, we disregard it for thoughts and mind. We abuse it often, significantly, by over and under working the body, staying too far away from it, or over identifying with it. It happens on both sides. And it's here saying, can we learn to cultivate a relationship with the body, and then with the thoughts, and then with feelings that comes from that place of stillness, quietude, and boundless, unconditional friendliness. We've done the mind trainings the Sangha has, and she calls to mind the drive all blames into one. We've discussed this many times. It doesn't mean blame yourself. It actually means recognize the pattern or the quality of your own mind, and then the reality of the human mind, all minds. To be reactive, to be judgmental, to have preferences, to want it our way, and to want to get rid of it. It says this would be really a genuine act of wisdom, just in the recognition. We're going to begin today simply by recognizing qualities of body, dropping into the body, staying there, breathing in several times, seeing if we can't make contact with that reality alone, with acknowledgement, acceptance, with care and compassion. It may seem like outer circumstances are provoking us, triggering us, someone might say, and making us suffer. We blame partners and kids for this all the time. But the real culprit is always our own mind, the one that wants what it wants to be secure, happy, safe, or regarded, the one that doesn't want what it doesn't want because it's being challenged in those regards, not being seen, heard, acknowledged, or loved. We can use that word for all of that. She found it difficult to understand that concept of ego clinging. It's not my favorite either. I think it's really better to say that we find ourselves at some distance from our own experience, and then make too much of it as self, because now we're some distance from the truth of our own experience. It seemed like an abstract concept, one she couldn't relate to. Of course, the idea of blame, which was probably not the best translation. You could even say, I suppose, drive all understanding into one, which would make as much sense. Drive all clarity, all truths into one, and begin with the body. Zigar, who is her current teacher, came up with the word propensity. Those are habits, those are patterns of wiring, would say the neuroscience. Those are tendencies, I guess would be another word we could use. Anybody have another word? Proclivities just came to mind. Ways that we have patterned reactions and responses, beginning with qualities of our own mind, and that we can look there is necessary. But I don't notice that we begin there well without first knowing thinking as thinking. We tend to buy in to the storylines that we're telling ourselves all day if we can't remember that most essential slogan, thoughts as thoughts, coming and going. And how you remember, I've used the word crazy thinking happening. You find yours, you're going to have to be called back and forth over and over again. The science says it's better to have one phrase, not 15, to call you back. Just like you don't call the cat or the dog with 25 different, you go, come on, let's go, buddy. And that dog learns that pattern. That cat knows that, and because of its repetition. And so don't come up with 50 ways to do this. Let's find one that makes some kind of sense and is somewhat available to you. Remembering, thinking happening. Joseph Goldstein used to say phenomenon rolling along. He didn't even want to name it thinking. And that's just too many words for me. I don't want to think that much. And so that's what this has to say. It says that most of our experience, particularly discomforts, anxieties, mine was aloneness, feeling alone and separated yesterday, our disturbance is rooted in the three poisons, they're called. Also, the Sanskrit word kleshas. They are greed, hatred, and delusion. Those are the three biggies. They are named here as craving, aggression, and ignorance. They are all the same. It says the kleshas are that which by the wanting nature and not wanting nature of mind, of the aversion nature that comes with anger and aggression, the checked out nature of mind that comes with ignorance, delusion, and lack of clarity, it is that mind that always is at work in our suffering. The mind is at work. So I'll use myself again as the example. Yesterday, when I was feeling alone, I was not getting supported with some tasks and things that I believed needed to happen yesterday. The wanting mind wanted help. The not wanting mind was like, I don't want this group of folks saying, we don't need to do that now. It's not important. We don't have to worry about it. And so there was also an aversion aspect of not wanting it. I didn't want what was happening to be happening. And ignorance was I was not recognizing at the moment how I was contributing to my distress. I was directed outside towards others as if only you guys, blah, blah, blah. Storyline, storyline, storyline. Then I could be okay. This is an unfortunate and ultimately somewhat familiar, isn't it? Habit. There's the blame, except we didn't turn the blame towards what authority do I have. I turned the blame and judgment out. If only you guys would do this. the way I think it needs to be done, then it would be better. We would be okay. I certainly would have been more secure in the process. I'm not sure that's true. That was just my mind buying into the story. Did all the needles have to get swept up that moment? Probably not. Was this going to decide the whole of the day in my life? I don't think so. Did I grab onto that as if it was the one act that was going to right the whole of the world? Yes, I did. Out of my own wanting to have control, authority, or over something. And there I was, blah, in the grip. My sons thought it was hilarious. Partners usually not quite so much because they take you a little too literally. And on the suffering went until I went, wait a minute, what's really happening here? And the way I caught that was first in the body. I could feel that pain above my heart, that contractedness that said, this is suffering. This is suffering. And because I know suffering is a quality of my own mind, I was able to take a little time. As Dennis said earlier, he closes his eyes. I took a step back. I went, you know what? Rather than stay engaged in something that won't be good for anyone and potentially harmful, let me take a step back and look at this for myself. So greed, hatred, and delusion, craving, aggression, and ignorance are the cultivators of our suffering. Feelings are just feelings. Thoughts are just thoughts. Emotions are just emotions. These words do not mean that. Those are just a part of the human experience. The kleshas are clusters or constellations or groupings of experience come together, certain qualities of mind, qualities of body, and qualities of heart that actually get us stuck, get us separated from the truth of the present moment, get us into the habit of reactivity. There's no feeling by its nature that is a bad feeling, though they are not all pleasant, right? Certainly. Klesha is not simply an emotion or a sensation or a thought. They are these constellations that lead to things like craving, aversion, and ignorance. Hopefully that helps that. According to the Buddha's teachings, it's not emotions themselves, oh, there we go, that make us suffer. It is not. In fact, what did I say? A thought recognized as a thought can be a path to freedom. A sensation recognized simply as the body's expression can be a path to freedom. An emotion, as difficult as it is, recognized as an emotion and a constellation of something larger can then be a path to complete release. They are not inherently bad or good. They simply are an arising appearance. I'm glad that that was said. I didn't remember that at all. In their raw form, before we start to struggle with any thoughts, feelings, and sensations, before thinking gets involved, can we begin to make contact with something direct that does not scoop us up into the old biased sets of beliefs? Well, the body is the best place to begin. And so keep that in mind as we practice. Remember, making contact with the thought, dropping beneath back into the body again and again and again. The culprit is not the basic energy, but the spin-off, or as Sharon Salzberg calls it, the add-ons, the narrative, the fiction writing, the storyline that will not contribute to our health, happiness, well-being, or freedom. Never and never and never. They are scripted. They are old. They are dead. They're old beliefs held onto with the false hope that they will set us free. And in fact, they do not and cannot offer this to us. What do we do with these experiences, these kleshas, this energy? Well, we very rarely tolerate it because it's often not pleasant. So what do? We shut it down. We push it away. Well, I don't want to call shut down pushing away. Let me rephrase that. We shut it down. That would be more ignorance. We push it away, reject, refuse, or project it onto others. That would be aversion. Or we cling to it. And that could be something like victimhood, for example. How to take a negative and cling to it would be poor me. Why does this happen to me? I can't believe this is happening again to me, would be a type of clinging or craving. My husband just walked in with the coffee with the dog. Thank you, dear. That was very sweet. That's the same guy that wouldn't sweep up the needles. Yeah, that's that guy. There you go. See the insanity of one's mind. Do you get what I'm saying? We never want to shut down any experience. Neither, though, do I want to say that what is best is to act them out. We don't want to buy into them necessarily either. This is not understood to be an improvement. Neither works. Rejecting or completely taking claim and ownership. That's different than acceptance. Acceptance doesn't have an identity in it. It just has an awareness of the truth of an arising. So begin with sensations just like this, and then thoughts just like this. The thought that I'm always going to have to do this by myself. No one's ever going to sweep up the needles but me. And this is the bane of my existence. Old belief thoughts. And then we all smile. Don't we? What do we smile at? The crazy thinking that has been constructed and once as an essential protection to me. Once as an essential protection. And that was correct. Once, when I had a 19-year-old mother with 3 babies in the house, the thought, you better figure this out for yourself, probably started to happen. Not to harm me, right? Not to cause my distress, but in fact to free me from distress. You better go get the drink or water or juice yourself, right? I just kept the storyline for 68 years. It's not that useful any longer. But that's not going to unhook me. What's going to unhook me is to recognize how from that direct thought, I go into suffering. I go into contraction. I go into shortness of breath. I go into unpleasant thoughts about my beloved. I go into separation. I go into feeling alone. And then we see the spiral and how from one thing, suffering is caused. But the beauty of that and the whole point of dropping into feelings is that from there, we can also begin to see clearly. Can't we? We can. And we're training every day regularly to do so. And then drive all blames into one is exactly the same statement as be wholly empowered towards your happiness. That's the other side of it. Be wholly empowered towards your own and then others' happiness. Isn't that amazing? That same agency, that same authority then also sets us free. me see what else this has to say. Everyone has habits. Of course we do. There's no need to blame ourselves for them. And by the way, remember, we're not going to magically get rid of them. This is spiritual bypassing. Forget about it. Can we recognize them? And in recognizing them, begin to, what was the word I used? Unhook ourselves from playing them out one more time. Going into victimhood one more time. From believing that I'm separate, alone, and never going to be supported one more time, right? And that begins a process of undoing. We could call it unlearning, which is moving us towards clarity, clear seeing, the Dharma, and our own happiness and ease. Lack of awareness is what gives our emotions their power. Here she says it too. Bringing awareness to them is the magic key. How lovely. When we're aware of what's happening, body as body, thought as thought, emotion as emotion, those are the basics, they lose their hook. Just naming them, says the neuroscience now, in the fMRIs, begins to release the power in the amygdala. Just saying thought as thought. This is the thought. I'm having a believed thought. Crazy thinking happening. Phenomenon rolling on. It doesn't right, find yours. Just the statement alone, with the recognition, begins to unhook the amygdala. It loses all of its red fire in the fMRI. Just naming that statement gives me goosebumps. Isn't that amazing? That's why we're going to practice with it, because we too can be set free in any moment, not because somebody sweeps up the needles now. I have no hope for this. This is too many years. I got 38 of those. Go, nope, nobody's sweeping up the needles. That's not happening. But because I recognize thought is thought, tightness is tightness, believe thought that somebody should be listening to me and trying to help me do this. And then by virtue of staying in the body, guess what I was able to feel? I could feel probably one of those early feelings of grip that went, uh-oh, I'm not going to get anything if I don't go get it. Because I have a 19-year-old mother who's a mess with 2 twin baby boys. Right? And so that feeling was probably begun way back there. Now, I don't have any negative thoughts about my mother, by the way, at all. I don't have any rejecting or negative thoughts about my own strategies either. I have no judgments there, because that won't help either. Can I just recognize, oh, old pain being replayed? And then what was the practice? Then can I feel for myself in that 2-year-old moment? And then in this one, right? Can I? And the answer is yes, we all can. And more so with practice than with just letting the mind take us down the wormhole of the glaciers. When we're aware of what's happening, they lose their ability to make us miserable. How handy is that? She gives some examples. I don't want to go over that. Good to feel the body because it is the ember. I guess that's pretty important. The tensions in the shoulders, the chest, the throat, the belly, these are areas that we can drop in on pretty regularly. Can I know the body as the body and stay for at least 3 breaths? Our tendency is to make contact with that and then to replay an old existing script thought. If that squeeze happens for me, it's very easy for me to fly right back up into something's wrong. something's wrong. And the wrong thing, by the way, is 90% of the time not me. Who is it? You. I throw that right up, right from that squeeze. Very, very strong habit of all of us to make that squeeze other. That's that guy, that's that person, that situation. That's what it is. It's not my mind. It's not my habits. It's not my kleshas. It's over there. And then we become more and more and more powerless and more victim to what? Life as it is. Life as it is. We got to begin there. And the body is the most beautiful place to begin. Here we go. We can escalate or de-escalate. That means make bigger or smaller our misery. We can strengthen those unhelpful habits by allowing them to replay, or we can ventilate them. I love the word. We can create space and room, open a window, open a door, step outside. We can create room to see more clearly, shine the light of awareness on the reality. I have authority, not blame. I have authority over what I choose to think, how I choose to feel. We do, and it's quite amazing. Then we are no longer victim to life. We are a participant in its benefit and in its goodness. With meditation, we begin to catch some of the ember-like thoughts, we noticed them today, and subtle emotions or body sensations, because remember, a body sensation and a thought equal an emotion. You can should be able to name all three. Really, today, we're going to work on two. One is, can I drop back into the body? Can I recognize a thought as a thought? Very difficult work. We tend to buy into these completely as truths. With meditation, we begin to catch them. And in catching them, we begin to unhook from them. Can we feel what we're feeling? And can we feel for ourselves? When we're out of touch with our body, our kleshas have what I will call fertile ground to grow and to cause harm. I didn't see anything in here. Yep, I think we're good. The first step to courage, refraining. We could call that restraint. We could call that recognizing so as not to propagate. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to catch our thinking, name it stinking thinking, crazy thinking, there's my thinking, old thinking, whatever you can say to yourself, mind going mad, I don't care what it is, and then drop beneath that. We've got to unhook in order to feel what we're really feeling. Can I stay in the body then for at least 3 breaths? I think we can. I have some confidence. I want to remind people it's 8:30 and I know people have to go. I will not be here this Saturday, but we will still be doing meditation in the garden at 7:30. Greg will be here, Lisa will be here, Carrie will be here, Cindy will be here, because we are doing our senior bags for CRC at 8:15 this Saturday. So we're going to be here. I will be on Zoom. We'll have the computer here so you guys can hear and see me. We will stop before 8:15 so that we can get those senior bags over to CRC. We have to get them there today, on the 2nd, excuse me. So we're doing them on the 2nd. We have to get them over to CRC on the 2nd. That's the last day to do the baskets. Okay, so we are going to meet here. The house will be open. All our friends will be here. If not, if you want to just do the meditation on Zoom. You can come right over after. People like Chris, he lives right around the corner. He can run over to help us with those senior baskets, gift baskets, and they will only take probably 30 minutes at most. We're just we have all the stuff ready. We're just getting them into bags, getting stickers on the bags, very much like our personal care bags for the refugees and the homeless. And these are particular from CRC. They're very special items that they asked everybody to gather together, and they will be sent immediately to CRC for their holiday basket program. So we'll be contributing to that. Thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions. All monies, all Donna, to me or to EMC, will be going towards those compassionate action events. We spent $400 extra in November for the St. Andrew's Pantry. And so I am also donating all teaching Donna to that fund so that we can keep doing that. That's important to do. There are more people in need for whatever reason that we're not totally understanding. This year, they are growing. The St. Andrew's Pantry has at least 20 additional families that just came in the last month. And so they are needing our support. This is happening everywhere. I think the recession may be real. Unfortunately, not just a news bite. And we will be stepping it up as it means contributing to our friends. We're also going to be setting a date, just so you know, and then I know you need to go, to work with the United Methodist Church up on Calle Magdalena. Once a month, they do a dinner for our unsheltered friends. We're going to be picking a date together to go there to support them. That may mean helping serve, just having conversations and seeing what the needs are of our unsheltered friends. And that is in an evening. We'll pick an evening. I think it's Thursday, but we'll be doing that in the next month as well. Yes, it is true, just for those of you who've already checked in with me on that, our unsheltered friends are not currently masked. Yes, we will be in a large open closed space. And so everybody has to make their own best decision from there. Yes, you can wear masks. That's not a problem. If you are feeling under the weather in any way, I certainly wouldn't participate at that time. And yes, we do know there are certain risks, which would not be right for everyone. So we are respectful and regarding of that as well. We understand that that's also true. All right, everyone, let's put our hands together, please. Remembering that we are this living prayer, that every moment is an opportunity to see life as it is, to recognize our own heart, minds, and bodies, and to place them in alignment, in accord with the truth of the moment as it is for all beings. We can unhook, come back into the body, and open the heart wider. May we do so for ourselves, for those we love, and for all beings. And thank you for your practice. Thank you all so much. Good to see you all. Chris, so good to see you. I'll look forward to having you guys here on Saturday. Leslie, thank you so much. Good to see you there in Israel. Hope all is well. And I will be sending Leslie you Zoom things right now. I've got a half hour. I'm committed to that enterprise. So hopefully you'll be seeing some things shortly. All right, everyone, be well.